In this video we will be discussing America can't go wobbly on Ukraine. As we approach the first anniversary of Russia's brutal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, two ominous trends are emerging at once. First, Russia is doubling down. It's pouring fresh troops into Ukraine and launching new offensive operations. Second, poll after poll demonstrate that American support for Ukraine is slipping away. While Americans have sympathy for Ukraine, declining percentages are willing to spend American resources to keep Ukraine in the fight. Yet the outcome of the war is simply too important, to America as well as Ukraine, to allow our support to falter. On the war's anniversary, it's time for a concerted effort to persuade Americans of a single idea: we should support Ukraine as much as it takes, as long as it takes, until the Russian military suffers a decisive, unmistakable defeat. Instead, domestic agreement is fraying. As the Washington Post reported last week, the Biden administration is telling Ukraine there are no guarantees of future support, and it's raising the pressure on Ukraine to make significant gains on the battlefield in the short term, while Western aid still flows. Tell us more. The situation in Ukraine remains tense as Russia continues to maintain a military presence in the region, and there have been reports of ongoing fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists. The conflict began in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine and has since escalated into a full-scale war in eastern Ukraine. The recent influx of Russian troops and renewed offensive operations have led to concerns that the conflict could escalate further, potentially drawing in other countries and creating a wider conflict. This has raised alarms among Western leaders and led to increased sanctions against Russia. At the same time, public opinion in the United States towards the conflict in Ukraine appears to be shifting. While Americans generally sympathize with Ukraine and its struggle against Russian aggression, there is a growing sense of war weariness and reluctance to get involved in foreign conflicts. This has put pressure on the Biden administration to balance its support for Ukraine with the need to avoid getting drawn into a wider conflict with Russia. The administration has emphasized the need for Ukraine to make progress on the battlefield in order to demonstrate its commitment to defending itself, but it has also signaled that there are limits to what the U.S. can do to support Ukraine. Despite these challenges, many analysts believe that it is important for the U.S. and its allies to continue to support Ukraine in its struggle against Russian aggression. A strong, democratic Ukraine could serve as a bulwark against Russian expansionism and help to stabilize the region. However, achieving a decisive defeat of the Russian military in Ukraine remains a daunting task that will require sustained commitment and resources.